All right, let's talk Los Angeles Chargers. Got an interesting update involving the Chargers. It's been one heck of an offseason. Of course, a lot of really good moves. Of course, some heartbreak as some really good players had to leave for salary cap reasons. But under general manager Joe Ortiz and Coach Harbaugh, a lot of smart decisions are being made. And it looks like the Chargers are making potentially a really crafty move for a number of reasons. Let's get into this report and we'll talk about it on the other side. This is from Bleacher Report. Former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Marquez Valdes-Scantling has received interest from the Los Angeles Chargers in free agency. The Chargers, I'm told, have some interest, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler said during a Friday appearance on NFL Live. They're looking for a speed receiver out there. And just to jump in real quick, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, he's actually a very well-respected reporter, very well in the weeds, knows a lot of people. He doesn't just say things. So he's actually a really good reporter. When he says things, there's truth behind it. The report goes on to say the Chargers are in need of wide receiver help after several key offseason departures. First, Los Angeles released wideout Mike Williams just before the start of the new league year after 7 seasons with the team in order to save $20 million. Then the team traded veteran Keenan Allen to the Chicago Bears on March 14th in exchange for a 4th-round pick. All right, there's a lot of different things here to unpack with the Chargers being very interested in MVS. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are. I know I've got some interesting stuff, but first, Chargers fans, in the comment section below, obviously, the Chargers going after Marquez Valdes-Scantling could be potentially a nice move, but I'm curious, what other potential free agent that's still lurking out there that you think the Chargers should go after? Let us know what current player that's still available that you think they need to sign in the comment section below. But Myers, give me your thoughts on this interest and potential upcoming move here for the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, Nate, I think one angle when I look at this is obviously you need a wide receiver if you're the Chargers. That's a position of major need, having to let go of Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. So just that base case, any wide receiver who's pretty decent, I think is a solid add to this Chargers team at the moment. But I think there's a deeper thing I am seeing here. When you look at a guy like Marquez Valdes-Scantling, he's 6'4". He ran a 4.3 in the combine. This guy is pretty quick and he's pretty big. And he fits the archetype of another receiver on this Chargers roster. And of course, I'm talking about Quentin Johnston, who's 6'3", and we all know he's known for his blazing straight line speed as well. This is a guy in Quentin Johnston who was one of the most physically gifted receivers coming out of the draft. I think that this is a pretty good pairing as far as this receiver room for the Chargers right now has Johnston at 22 and Palmer at 24. They don't have a solid veteran to come in and mentor them. If they are able to get MVS to come in here, a guy who's been around the league for a long time at 29 years old, and fits the archetype of a guy like Johnson, I think this would be a really good pickup for the Chargers to help develop a supreme talent like a guy like Quentin Johnston, get him on the right path, but also give themselves some very, very solid quality receiving depth on this Chargers roster as well. I think this would be a great pickup because A, you help develop Johnson, but B, you get a great player in the same vein. I don't know how you could miss doing something like that. But Nick, I know you have something interesting. What are your thoughts on this move by the Chargers?
So I think context matters when you hear reports like this. And I think the context that came to mind for me is Coach Harbaugh saying a few days ago that with the first 4 picks in the NFL draft looking like they're all going to be quarterbacks the way it is sitting right now, someone likely trading up to number 4 to pick a quarterback, Harbaugh said that the Chargers basically have the number 1 overall pick in the draft. And that has me thinking for a second, like, okay, the best football player in the draft then outside the quarterback position is, by most people's acclaim, Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver out of Ohio State. Now, the Chargers are sitting here thinking, okay, if someone really wants this guy, this special wide receiver prospect that I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is, we could potentially trade back, pick up an absolute haul of draft picks because we're treating it mentally like it's a number 1 overall pick. We can create a lot of assets. We still need to address the wide receiver position, so let's sign a savvy veteran in MVS, a guy I think you brought up a great point who could help out our younger receivers. Because let's be totally honest here, if Quentin Johnston just becomes 75% of his potential, he's a quality receiver, right? He obviously fell well short of that this past season, but he still was a rookie, right? New coaching staff, bringing in the right veteran to work with him. There's still a chance he could turn his career around and become a quality player, and I think going after MVS could certainly help him with that. So again, though, I want to focus on the Chargers here. I think what Harbaugh is setting the stage for is by going after and expressing interest in MVS, he's letting other teams know that, hey, maybe we're not interested in a receiver, so let's hear some calls from teams that want to trade up for Marvin Harrison Jr. The Chargers could then move back, pick up a lot of assets, and here's the beautiful part about it, Chargers fans. This is a very deep receiver class here at that position. So you could trade back from 5 to 9, 5 to 15, 5 to whatever, and still pick up a really high quality receiver if you still want one. If not, you can, of course, go offensive line as well or any other position that the Chargers need. So I think overall, what we're seeing from Ortiz and Harbaugh is just a really sound approach to how they're approaching their number 5 overall pick. They're treating it like they have the number 1 overall pick. And the rule of thumb is, and this is my key point here, if you have a franchise quarterback and you have the number 1 overall pick, like the Chargers are treating it, then you trade back. That's what you do. That's the rule of thumb. That's what smart teams do. The Chargers are treating it very, very similarly. I think they're sending a message here saying, listen, we're not going to sit here at number 5 and just take the best wide receiver available. We're very open. We want to trade back, and we're going to show it by expressing interest and I think likely signing Marquez Valdes-Scantling.
Yeah, Nate, I think that's a great point because it makes a whole lot of sense. And I remember the article, just when you think about it, if there's a run on quarterbacks, and let's be quite honest, probably only one of those guys, maybe 2, is deserving of getting drafted in the top 4 as far as talent goes. So there's going to be a litany of quarterbacks taken in that first 4 picks that kind of doesn't affect the top end talent of the draft. As like you alluded to, perfect situation for the Chargers as far as having probably every single option outside of the quarterback position on the board to be the number 1 pick there. You got the best wide receivers available. You got the best offensive linemen available. You got the best edge rushers available. There's so many positions you get at number 5. It's like you said, I think it becomes instantly more valuable with the run on quarterbacks that seems like it's going to happen in those first 4 picks. So I think this would be a great move by the Chargers to do something like that, potentially trade out of the top 5, and now they have a guy to help back up that claim. We all know they needed a wide receiver, and like you said, deeper in the draft, there's a lot of quality guys they could pick up a little bit later down in the first round. So I think this would be a solid move, netting the Chargers more assets, but also fixing the holes on this team.